Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we go to talk about a chapter of American history that for decades was deliberately buried and forgotten. It's a story of prosperity, of prejudice, and of a horrifying event that wiped a thriving community off the map in less than 24 hours. This is the story of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre and the destruction of the neighborhood known as Black Wall Street. Imagine it's the early 1920s. In the city of Tulsa, Oklahoma, there's a district called Greenwood. This isn't just any neighborhood. It's one of the most prosperous African American communities in the entire country. Spanning 35 square blocks, Greenwood was a self-sustaining economic powerhouse. It had its own banks, luxury shops, hotels, movie theaters, and doctors' and lawyers' offices. The money circulated within the community, building incredible wealth. Visionaries like O.W. Gurley and J.B. Stratford had laid the foundation for this beacon of black success, a place where the American dream seemed truly possible for its residents, despite the harsh realities of segregation and Jim Crow laws that dominated the era. This was Black Wall Street, a symbol of what could be achieved through resilience and community. But just across the railroad tracks, in the predominantly white sections of Tulsa, this success was viewed by many with resentment and jealousy. The racial tension was a powder keg, and in the spring of 1921, a single spark would ignite it. So, who were the people at the heart of this story? On one side, you have the proud residents of Greenwood entrepreneurs, families, and professionals who had built a life for themselves. People like Dr. A.C. Jackson, a renowned surgeon, considered one of the best in the country. On the other side, you have the broader white community of Tulsa, steeped in the racial prejudices of the time. The key figures who tragically set events in motion were two teenagers, Dick Rowland, a 19-year-old African-American shoe shiner, and Sarah Page, a 17-year-old white elevator operator. On May 30th, 1921, Rowland entered the Drexel building to use the restroom, a common practice for black workers in the area. The only person in the elevator was Sarah Page. What happened next inside that elevator is still debated. The most common account is that Rowland tripped and, to steady himself, grabbed Page's arm, causing her to scream. A clerk in a nearby store heard the scream and immediately called the police, reporting an assault. The story, however, would soon be twisted beyond recognition. The following day, May 31st, the Tulsa Tribune newspaper published an inflammatory front-page story with the headline, "Nab Negro for Attacking Girl in an Elevator." It also included a sensationalized editorial, which some witnesses claimed called for a lynching. Though no copies of that editorial survive today, the damage was done. By that evening, an angry white mob of hundreds had gathered outside the courthouse where Dick Rowland was being held. They were demanding he be handed over. Fearing the worst, a group of about 75 armed black men, many of them World War I veterans, marched from Greenwood to the courthouse. They weren't there to start a fight. They were there to ensure Rowland wouldn't be lynched and that due process would be followed. The sheriff assured them Rowland was safe and urged them to go home. They started to leave, but as they did, a white man in the crowd tried to disarm one of the black veterans. A shot was fired, and in that instant, chaos erupted. The small group of black men was vastly outnumbered. They retreated back to Greenwood, but the mob, now deputized and armed by city officials, followed. This was no longer about Dick Rowland. It had become an all-out assault on the entire Greenwood district. Over the next 18 hours, From the night of May 31st into the afternoon of June 1st, Greenwood was systematically destroyed. The white mob, which swelled to thousands, looted and burned homes and businesses block by block. They used rifles, machine guns, and even, according to eyewitness accounts, airplanes that dropped incendiary devices onto buildings. It was a full-scale invasion. Families were dragged from their homes. People were shot in the streets as they tried to flee. Greenwood's defenders fought back bravely, but were overwhelmed. The Oklahoma National Guard was called in, but instead of stopping the mob, their primary action was to round up thousands of black residents, marching them to detention centers where they were held for days. By the time the smoke cleared on the afternoon of June 1st, Black Wall Street was gone. 35 square blocks were reduced to smoldering ash and rubble. The vibrant heart of Black Tulsa had been utterly annihilated. In the aftermath, the official death toll was reported at just 36, but we now know the true number was much, much higher. Historians and researchers estimate that as many as 300 people, mostly black residents, were killed. Over 800 were treated for injuries, and more than 10,000 people were left homeless, their life's work turned to dust. Not a single white person was ever convicted for the murder, arson, or looting. In fact, many in the black community were blamed for the riot. For decades, the massacre was actively suppressed. It wasn't taught in schools. It was erased from official records and public memory. Survivors were too terrified to speak of it. It was a secret buried under shame and fear. But secrets like this can't stay buried forever. Thanks to the tireless efforts of survivors, historians, and activists, the story of the Tulsa Race Massacre has been brought back into the light. It teaches us a powerful and painful lesson about the horrific consequences of racial hatred and the fragility of justice. But it also serves as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. The survivors and their descendants never gave up the fight for recognition and justice. The story of Black Wall Street is not just one of tragedy. It's a story of incredible achievement that must be remembered, honored, and learned from, to ensure that nothing like it ever happens again. Thank you so much for watching and for taking the time to learn about this crucial piece of our history. If you found this video informative, please give it a like and consider subscribing for more deep dives into the stories that have shaped our world. See you next time